Next, we're talking Olympians from Oregon and some of the most versatile athletes in the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. At the 1992 Summer Olympics, the U.S. decathlon team of Dan and Dave was highly promoted. Both gave Oregon much to be proud of. Shannon McMillan was an early warrior in making women's soccer an institution at University of Portland. On guard, this Beaverton fencer is a 5-time Olympian and represented the U.S. on 16 World Championship teams. All this and more on Great Athletes, Great Oregonians.
Welcome to our program. Today we talk about some of the Olympians who sit in the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, and Oregon has quite a list. The decathlon consists of 10 track and field events. These events are held over 2 consecutive days, and the athletes are awarded points depending on how well they do. The title of World's Greatest Athlete is traditionally awarded to the winner. Oregon's greatest decathlete, no, the world's greatest athlete after the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta was born in Portland, and if it weren't for a cross-country coach, he might have become a long-distance runner.
On a rainy spring day in Gresham in 1984, young Dan O'Brien showed the promise of greatness to come. O'Brien splashed his way to 4 individual championships for Henley High School at the state meet, and a decathlete was born. O'Brien emerged on the world scene, setting the American record in 1991. Then backed it up with his first World Championship. For the 1992 Olympic trials, O'Brien has reached his prime. His chief competition, fellow Oregonian Dave Johnson. The multi-million-dollar hype of the Dan and Dave show came to a crashing end with Dan's no height in the pole vault at the trial.
He fails to clear it.
After sitting out the Barcelona games, O'Brien traveled to France and reset the world record, defeating the Olympic champion. Dan's Olympic dreams would not go unfulfilled. He executed a perfect 4-year plan to win his gold medal in Atlanta.
That's an outstanding performance for Dan O'Brien.
And along the way, O'Brien was undefeated, taking 4 more USA titles and 2 more world championships. O'Brien has continued to make competitive comebacks, as well as building new careers as a coach and a commentator. Dan O'Brien has redefined the definition of decathlete as the world's greatest athlete.
It was exciting. You know, I really have to look back on those times as you know, the highlight for the decathlon in the United States. We made a resurgence. That we hadn't had a champion since Bruce Jenner in 1976, and I think there's never been more hype in the decathlon, you know, up until that point. I think Dave and I, what we did to decathlon, we just gave it new interest. Everything we did was really fun. I mean, it was hard work. A lot of people say, "Oh, it must have been so much fun." You know, we woke up at 5 a.m. for 2 weeks in a row, you know, when we were shooting those commercials, and we really worked hard. But we had a good time. We developed a really good friendship, and you know, I can honestly say that because we spent all the time doing the commercials, that wasn't the reason that I didn't make the height in the pole vault. So.
Over the years, University of Portland women's soccer has become world-renowned. And one of the earliest stars on the Bluff worked hard and turned herself into a champion at every level of the game.
The explosive growth of women's soccer in America over the past dozen years was fueled in large part by Clive Charles' University of Portland squad. And no one player rode that arc of success higher than Shannon McMillan. Arriving on the UP campus as a shy freshman in 1992, McMillan would quickly grow into one of the most feared scoring threats in the collegiate ranks, and then on the world stage. Her very first year, Shannon netted 19 goals, most by any freshman in the country. Then she led the entire college world in scoring her sophomore year. In all 4 years on the Bluff, McMillan won all West Coast Conference, all regional, and all America honors. The Pilots advanced 4 straight times and made it all the way to 2 College Cup Final Fours. Shannon culminated her senior year winning the Herman Award, given to the top college player in the nation. She was the first pilot to ever win that award. But that was just Act 1 for Shannon McMillan. In 1996, she led the national team to the historic first ever gold medal in the Atlanta Olympic Games. McMillan was the leading scorer of that talented lineup, 3 goals in 5 matches, including 2 match winners. That Team USA effort laid the groundwork for the dramatic 1999 World Cup champions. McMillan played 13 years for Team USA, including the 2000 Olympics in Australia and the 2003 World Cup. She was voted U.S. Soccer Athlete of the Year in 2002 after scoring 17 goals. Shannon retired from international competition a year ago. She will be recognized forever for her role building greatness at the University of Portland and again for American soccer.
Shannon is continuing her coaching career and now is in San Diego as director of coaching for club teams there. Coming up, the story of one of the most accomplished skiers ever to come from the state of Oregon.
Great Athletes, Great Oregonians from the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is sponsored by Nike and by D.A. Davidson, financial advice for the long run.
D.A. Davidson, financial advice you can trust.
The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame recognizes and celebrates Oregon's rich athletic history. It's built on the premise that the lessons of sport provide a unique opportunity for self-discovery. Through an extensive memorabilia collection and exciting interactive exhibits, the Hall teaches and reinforces character and values. Each year, the Hall commits to lifelong rewards in the form of scholarships awarded to high school student athletes. Contact us about this process and the annual induction ceremony at your Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Raised in Sandy, Oregon, and on the slopes of Mount Hood, Bill Johnson began competitive skiing as a way of harnessing his energy. The peaks and valleys of his life are well known, but all said, this Oregon world-class athlete had determination and courage, necessary in every champion.
I first remember the Johnson family early in 1968 when they attended one of our early season meetings at Cascade Ski Club up in Government Camp on Mount Hood. Billy wanted to enthusiastically race on our racing team, and his mom wanted him to participate because he just loved to ski. He lived to ski. And at 8 years old, Billy was a very proficient skier, and during his early career there on Mount Hood skiing in the Mighty Might races, one year he broke his arm and he had his arm in his cast, and Bill participated even with his arm in a cast, and he took 3rd place in the jumping, and he just wasn't going to give up. Bill skied off and on all through his high school career, senior year particularly for the Mount Hood racing team under Ron Williams. Bill was particularly good at skiing very flat ski in soft snow conditions. And of course his win in Sarajevo in 1984, the gold medal, was the first gold medal that an American skier had ever won, and all the rest is history now.
As soon as he gets out of a turn, you're going to see him get right back into it.
That's Zurbriggen's time on the left.
We're going to know right here how he was on the top part. Oh,
He's close.
2/10 of a second behind. That's what he has to make up. Zurbriggen was good on the bottom, though.
Johnson has always been good on the bottom, though, Bob. He could make it up.
Okay, this is going to be very close. Zurbriggen fired a good one at him. But this is where he is great, as you said.
Down through the flats and heading towards the first big bump. Beautiful!
Right back into his tuck, Frank, and now here's where he's really fast. He has a very fast pair of skis, and he knows how to ride it.
Again! Zurbriggen's time will come up on the left. Billy Johnson into the tuck.
It's going to be very, very close down here, Frank.
And they do it! Yes, he has!
He's got it!
Johnson has taken the lead with Zurbriggen. We knew that Zurbriggen had a great run. Now Billy Johnson has come down the mountain. He was a little bit behind at the top.
We sure wish Bill the best of luck, and gosh, I'm excited to see that he's being inducted into the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, and I'm really actually honored to be here and see Bill receive the honor of being inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame.
Don Scholender was the first U.S. athlete after Jesse Owens to win 4 Olympic gold medals. The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame has Scholender's 1964 ABC Wide World of Sports Trophy, awarded to the Athlete of the Year, better than any athlete that appeared on their show. 15 countries, 4 continents. You might not realize how revered Oregon has become worldwide in the sport of fencing. Michael Marks is a 5-time Olympian. The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame has his collection of Olympic rings and Olympic watches. Some say Michael Marks is a living legend. Certainly in the world of fencing, there are few near his level.
Just reaching the Olympic Games is a goal realized for many athletes. Michael Marks has made it a habit. Over 16 years, Marks has qualified for the Summer Games 5 times. Marks is the only American in 50 years to make the national team in 2 weapons, the épée and foil. In his prime, Marks won a record 8 national championships in the foil, the most competitive and popular discipline of the sport. He has gone on to capture 8 more in senior competition. The United States Olympic Committee has honored him 5 times as Athlete of the Year. Michael's top world finish was a silver at the 1995 World University Games. Now the national women's coach, Marks trains many of America's elite at the Northwest Fencing Center in Portland. His athletes have competed on the last 3 Olympic teams in épée and foil and have won over 30 national championships. Michael has twice served as vice president of the U.S. Fencing Association and in 1993 earned the prestigious Master of Arms degree in Poland. Already a member of the United States Fencing Hall of Fame, the man described as the Larry Bird of his sport, Michael Marks.
What I'd like to say to you really is that many of you here may not have been involved in this, but Oregon had a history, I said, in fencing, but it was a vision of people. I'm just the result of so many people working for decades. I mean, you know, when I think of Chuck Richards that came up here and spoke, he knew me when I was a child, and he wrote something about when my mother passed away. He wrote the obituary, saying that if you didn't agree to work with my mom, she would recruit you. And she did that with numerous people, and there are, I mean, hundreds of people in the area that have built this up. For me personally, I'd have to thank my family and my brother Bob, who actually, my brother Bob was there with me and trained me every day. And we walked hand in hand in the Olympics together in 1984, and that was the best moment of my life.
D.A. Davidson, financial relationships built on loyalty.
When you prepare yourself, both physically and mentally for the competition, you're giving yourself a better opportunity to do well. but also psychologically you're creating a sense of serenity. When I would get up in the starting blocks, if I knew that I had prepared myself well, I was nervous. If I knew I hadn't prepared myself quite as well, or maybe I hadn't trained as well or done what I should have done, I was very nervous up there. So it had a double benefit. First of all, I was ready physically and mentally to do well, but secondly, I was confident and I was kind of comfortable and serene in the approach of the competition.
In track and field, the hammer throw's roots go back to a much older event where an actual sledgehammer was thrown. Today, a 16-pound metal ball at the end of a wire is spun over the thrower's head. After picking up speed and rotating for maximum torque, the angle and speed of the release determines a great throw. Now an Oregon throwing coach, Lance Deal, was once the best in the world in the hammer throw.
Lance Deal was a freshman at Montana State University in 1984 when he gave notice of future greatness, throwing the discus 202 feet. After an outstanding shot and disc career for the Bobcats, Deal moved to Eugene to train under coaching legend Stuart Toger. The hammer throw was a difficult choice as a specialty. Over a 13-year post-collegiate career, Deal became the greatest American hammer thrower ever. He made 4 Olympic appearances, won silver medals at 4 different international meets, including the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta, the year that Lance was ranked #1 in the world.
One of the things I'm most proud of as an athlete is that I was able to stay at a high level for a very long time. And you know, all that takes is perseverance and being grounded and having great support and being well-rounded and not just, you know, win at all costs. Having a life and having an avocation like sport.
The lessons these inductees are sharing have the ability to impact all of us. High school student athletes are absorbing the lessons they see every day. With me now is Nate Carr from Central Catholic. Welcome, Nate.
Hi.
Hey, tell me about the biggest highlight from your career so far.
The biggest highlight has to be the 3rd place that my basketball team just won this past winter, and I mean, it was a great experience. It was awesome to see all my teammates, just all the hard work we put in pay off, and it wasn't what we wanted to win state, but 3rd place is one of the best finishes in our school's history, and so we were very proud of it.
You know, this show is about the life lessons that we learn through our participation in sports. So thinking over your career, what is sports and your participation in sports, what has that taught you about yourself?
It's definitely taught me how important hard work is, and that if you don't work hard at something, I mean, you can never accomplish your goals. I mean, I know that if my team, we hadn't come to work hard and practice every day, we never would have done as well as we did. It also taught me the importance of sharing success with your teammates, and I mean, how awesome that is. It was just awesome to be able to share the success of my team with my teammates instead of just as an individual.
If you took a little crystal ball and looked into your future, what do you think that's going to look like for you? How is that going to impact the rest of your life?
Well, as of right now, I don't plan to participate in college athletics, so I think I'm going to attend either Notre Dame or Oregon State University and pursue a degree in engineering, and the hard work and structure and discipline, especially discipline that I've learned from sports, will help me to achieve that. I mean, as an engineer, you need a lot of discipline and you need to work hard, and so I think that'll really help me out.
You sure do. Well, good luck with your choice, and you have a great future.
Thanks.
Coming up, in the 1992 Olympic decathlon, Dave Johnson broke his foot on the first day of competition. You'll see what happened after that next.
D.A. Davidson, financial advice you can trust.
The Oregon Sports Hall of Fame recognizes and celebrates Oregon's rich athletic history. It's built on the premise that the lessons of sport provide a unique opportunity for self-discovery. Through an extensive memorabilia collection and exciting interactive exhibits, the Hall teaches and reinforces character and values. Each year, the Hall commits to lifelong rewards in the form of scholarships awarded to high school student athletes. Contact us about this process and the annual induction ceremony at your Oregon Sports Hall of Fame.
Great athletes, great Oregonians from the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame is sponsored by Nike and by D.A. Davidson, financial advice for the long run.
At the top of the show, we shared the story of Dan O'Brien. At the 1992 Summer Olympics, the U.S. decathlon team of Dan and Dave was highly promoted. Could Dave Johnson, fellow Oregonian, good friend, and Dan's toughest competitor, beat him on the world's biggest stage? Here's the story of Dave Johnson, determined athlete and lifelong teacher.
Dave Johnson did not become an Oregonian until he moved from Montana to Corvallis for his senior year of high school. The move to Oregon changed a troubled young life. Dave discovered his faith and a new love, track and field. His immediate success on the track taught Johnson how to set goals and then reach them. A powerful work ethic developed, and Dave would rise from obscurity at Lynn Benton Community College to the top of the heap in the decathlon. By 1992, fellow Oregonian Dan O'Brien had emerged as a contender, and the overheated Dan and Dave show hit the airwaves. In the wake of Dan O'Brien's no height at the trials, Johnson carried the red, white, and blue to Barcelona. Competing with a broken foot, his toughness and will would carry the 2 days of the decathlon. Johnson's bronze medal was hard-earned and no less impressive than gold or silver. Dave Johnson earned a master's degree in marriage and family therapy, specializing in sports psychology and the impact of relationships on athletic performance. Johnson is very aware of his impact on young children and is always striving to be a positive role model. Dave Johnson, so much more than the second part of Dan and Dave.
My version, well, it's Dave and Dan, of course.
Dave,
is what
that's right.
But it's Dan and Dave was a great idea. It was at a perfect time for track and field to promote some athletes that were relatively unknown. We were number 1 and 2 in the world in the decathlon at the time, and my take of that whole experience was it was an honor to be a part of the growth of track and field, and to have that as a vehicle today. To look back at it as a vehicle today to let kids see who this guy used to be that is making them do detention or something, and they just go, wow, Mr. Johnson, you know, what are you doing here? And I let them know I'm here because I need to be part of your life, and it's been just incredibly rewarding. So Dan and Dave to me is a vehicle to bring up some kids here in Oregon and make them Olympians. Yeah.
The annual Hall of Fame induction ceremony has been a highlight of the Oregon sports scene for nearly 30 years. We thought we'd leave tonight with a moment from the 1988 ceremony and the induction of a world-class swimmer from a legendary Mac Club swim team called the Cody Kids. She's Suzanne Zimmerman.
This lady is the holder of 37 national gold medals, including junior national and senior national competitions. Between 1945 and 1949, she held every major American record in the backstroke. And in 1948, she brought home a silver medal from the London Olympic Games. Mrs. Suzanne Zimmerman.
When I was told I was included in this year's selection for the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame, my 2 adult children laughed about Mom's box of medals that appeared periodically through their growing up years. My son didn't believe they were all mine. My daughter thought all mothers had a box of medals. The excitement and thrills of being part of a young and famous swim team can't be beat. But tonight, Oregon is putting the frosting on the cake for me. And this honor is very, very sweet. Thank you.
D.A. Davidson, financial relationships built on loyalty.